share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe Share, Recipe Share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV, where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is collaborative cooking. I'm Beth, and I'm here with Elizabeth and Katie to tell us about the recipes. So Katie, what did you do for collaborative cooking this time?
Okay, so the recipe that I'm going to share with you today comes from this book. This is America's Test Kitchen, the Complete Salad Cookbook. I think that I had this checked out from the library for about 2 minutes before I returned it and bought it, because I love salads and I'm always looking for new ideas. And this is a big book, so it's got tons of ideas in it. The recipe that I'm sharing with you today is actually one that my husband and I made together last night. And it is for steak fajita salad. So we've sort of divided this one up in a way that we normally do divide our cooking, in that he would take care of the meat and I will do the veggies. That's just very typical of our household. So the first thing that I had to do was make the salad dressing for this. You need to make it about a half an hour before you get started cooking, because you want all of the ingredients to meld together. And the salad dressing is a Chipotle yogurt salad dressing. It calls for whole milk yogurt. I had non-fat and it works just fine. So a cup of that, and then some grated lime zest plus 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Called for parsley, which I did not have, so did not use. And then garlic clove that's minced, and a tablespoon of minced canned Chipotle chili and adobo sauce. That is something that sometimes I don't like in recipes, because it can be very overpowering, like smoky flavor. So I honestly had planned on making this salad dressing just for my husband's salad, and then I was just going to have like ranch on mine, because it sounded like ranch would be good with this, and I didn't know if I was going to like that. So put that in the fridge to sit, and then my husband got started on the steak. It's a pound of flank steak. You need to trim it. Normally, we would probably have cooked the steak, or he would have probably cooked the steak on the grill. But yesterday it was pouring rain, and this recipe actually calls for just one nonstick pan throughout the whole thing. So it's kind of a good opportunity for us to use this new technique and collaboratively use a pan. So he cooked the steak. You cook it with salt, pepper, and some Chipotle chili powder, and just like cook it in the pan with some oil and flip it over until it's cooked to 130 degrees, which is medium. And then you want to take it out of the pan and sit it tented with aluminum foil on your cutting board, just to let it rest for about 5 minutes. And so while he's been cooking this steak, I've been cutting up our veggies, which are calls for 2 green bell peppers. So I substituted jalapenos for that, sliced thin, a small red onion sliced thin, and then this calls for 2 ears of corn with the kernels cut off. I almost always use a frozen bag of corn when I see that in a recipe, unless corn is in season, which it is not. So you just take a frozen bag of corn that usually cooks for like 6 minutes and cook it for about half the time. So like 3 minutes, just to get the corn thawed and ready to go in the pan with the other veggies. All right, so then you put a little bit more olive oil in your pan and throw in your corn, pepper, and onion with a little bit more of your Chipotle chili powder and salt. You're going to cook that for about 8 minutes, just stirring it until it gets brown and soft and all flavorful and lovely. While that's cooking, I cut up the base of the salad. So it's just romaine lettuce in this recipe. I think when I do this again, I will add some spinach in there just to add some like more texture and flavor to the greens. Just to have a little bit more than just romaine. And then you slice up your steak. You have to slice it against the grain. And again, this is just another reason why I'm glad to have my husband doing this. I'm not really comfortable cooking or cutting steak in the proper way that you're supposed to do it. That's something that it's still on my agenda to learn. So glad to have him able to do that. And then you just put your steak and your veggies on top of your lettuce, and then got out my dressing, and it was really, really thick. And they do actually call it a sauce in this recipe rather than a dressing, but I really wanted it to be dressing. So I added about 3 tablespoons of water to it to try and get it to be thinner. And I should tell you that I was tasting this as I was trying to get it thinner, and it was really good. I really was surprised at how much I liked the dressing, because the chipotle and adobo flavor was very subtle. And it came up really sort of slowly. So it was like a building sort of heat. I really liked it. It wasn't like a whole lot of punch in the face with that flavor. So I did end up using it on my salad. I tried drizzling it over to make it look all pretty and stuff, but it still was pretty thin with the amount of water that I added. So I might even add a little bit more next time I make it. You can see in the picture that I took, it didn't look prettily drizzled on there. I was just kind of glopped it on there, but it was tasty. So it's fine. It's fine. The final thing that you do on this salad, according to this recipe, is there's a little crispy tortilla strips that you make in the oven. You're supposed to like make them beforehand. And even when I was reading this recipe with my husband, I was feeling very lazy about this step. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to cut up the tortillas and bake them. And so the genius that he is said, why don't you just buy Fritos? Which was amazing. It was so good. I think that the Fritos added the texture that is intended with these strips, but they also added this extra flavor, the flavor of Fritos that you wouldn't have gotten with these homemade strips. And it was really tasty. So I thought that was excellent. Overall, this was a really good collaborative recipe. And I think that we're definitely going to make it again. So that was it. Steak fajita salad.
Katie, that is so funny. When you first held up the picture, my little head lit up, because I love Fritos and I don't let myself buy them very much. I usually only buy them a few times a year, and I make a special dip with them. And I was like, oh, are those Fritos on that? I'm so excited. And then you talked about the baked tortilla chips. I was like, oh, okay, now it's exciting. And then when your husband said, let's just do Fritos, I was like, yes, it sounds so good. The dressing sounds delicious to me. I would use that on like other kind of Mexican flavored type things too, that like on a bowl, like a bean bowl or something. That sounds super yummy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I think that my husband's going to take our leftovers and make them into a bowl, and he saved like some of the dressing and stuff for that. So yes, absolutely. I think it could be used for lots of different things.
Sounds really yummy and versatile.
Yes, and as an added bonus, I do have a bag of Fritos now. So Elizabeth, tell us about your collaborative cooking recipe.
Sure. So I'm a little embarrassed about this one, simply because I know I use this cookbook all the time and I feel kind of bad. I feel like I'm like endorsing it, but I'm not. I just happen to own it, and I find it has really good recipes. It's Dining In by Allison Roman. So I felt bad using a recipe from this again, but this was really a good fit for this episode. And I ended up loving this salad that I made. It's burrata with tangerines, shallots, and watercress. And it is very easy to put together and looks really impressive on the table, because it's a salad that's kind of white and bright orange with just a little bit of green. So what you do is you thinly slice a shallot into rings and put it in a bowl with about 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice and some salt, and just set it aside. And then you have a ball of burrata, which is, I'm sure you two know, but the super yummy kind of mozzarella cheese that has like creamier cheese inside of it. So when you slice it open, it kind of like flows out. And then you have 4 tangerines or clementines that you have to peel and separate. So that's where the collaboration came in. I recruited my husband to peel we had tangerines, peel them and separate them into segments while I was working on slicing the shallot. And so that was kind of fun. This comes together really quickly. You could do it yourself, but it's just kind of fun in the kitchen to have both of you there. And then you have 2 cups of kind of, it just said spicy greens. So it suggested watercress, arugula works. I think I had watercress. I made this about a month ago. I have a photo here so you can see. I can't remember if I had watercress or maybe it was like little sunflower shoots, but spicy greens. And basically you arrange the peeled segments of citrus on a plate, kind of place the ball of burrata in the middle, just kind of dump the shallots with the lemon juice around, and then drizzle it with a thing of olive oil, and then sprinkle some salt and pepper on top. It looks like quite beautiful on a plate. And then basically you just kind of slice the burrata and it gets really creamy and it's delicious. Like the bite of a segment of tangerine, like with some of the creamy cheese and like a shallot that's kind of been, its spice has diminished because it's been in the lemon juice, is like delicious. So we ate it just kind of as like a light salad before we had, when then we like had some chicken with it. It was just kind of a light spring dinner. It was fun. My husband is not a huge cook, but he did not mind peeling and segmenting the clementines or tangerines or whatever. So that was good. It got him in the kitchen and I would really recommend it. Yeah, so I think I already said I have a photo, but maybe we'll show it again here because it's pretty. And it was really good and easy.
That sounds yummy too. So was it one, you had like a platter and then you scooped stuff onto your plates? Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, we didn't even use our own plates because we're married. So we just kind of like but if you were serving it to a group, yes, certainly you could have like a spoon and just kind of scoop some onto a small plate for an appetizer.
Nice.
That just sounds like something that I have never eaten before. It just sounds really unique and I would be excited to try it. I actually have never worked with burrata. Is that how you say it? Never worked with it before. So this might be a good place to start. It sounds really good. And I'm excited to see the picture.
Yeah, it was good. And I'd recommend it. And burrata's fun. It's very rich. So it's not something I use all the time, but for something like this, it really kind of like makes the scene. So yeah.
You know what else that I know a little toddler baby who would probably like it too.
I was thinking about, I almost did this for toddler cooking, Beth, because the segments of the clementine, like kind of dipped in the cheese, are really yummy. So I bet so. Yeah. All right. What'd you make, Beth?
All right. Well, I made a lemon meringue cake. And I happened upon a Martha Stewart magazine because, you know, I work at the library. And and it had these, what she called slab cakes on the cover. Well, they're actually like sheet cakes, but, or in a, you know, like a 9x13 pan instead of other ways. So the reason I collaborated, and it was with my son, and we were making Curtis's birthday cake in January, but it was a little complicated because the meringue was a Swiss meringue where you add the hot syrup, you know, like you cook the sugar, water, and cream of tartar till it gets, I didn't have a thermometer, but you know, till it's boiling, and then you have to slowly pour it in while you're beating the eggs. The egg whites. So I was like, yeah, that's just the frosting part though. And so it's really helpful to have my son. All of Martha's slab cakes, on what I'll be posting, it says sheet cake, call for 3/4 of a cup of sour cream too. So I had also made one of her, it was a peanut butter and chocolate cake, so good. But I could do that one by myself. But each recipe was similar, that they all called for like this sour cream, and then, you know, slightly different versions. But anyway, it also called for the zest of 2 lemons. So it was real light and bright. And I do have a little clip here of me cutting the cake. We cut it into big chunks and then took it somewhere for Kurt's birthday so that each household could have a chunk. So it was the first time we did cakes instead of pies for birthdays. But anyway, that was my collaborative cooking foray. Any
How did
questions?
your Swiss meringue turn out? That's always so daunting to me.
It turned out really well, but I would not have been comfortable by myself doing it. I had, my son and I have a clip, I have a picture of him too. I don't know if I'll post it, but it just, you definitely would need to have 3 hands because you got to pour this hot liquid while you're beating and and it also says, be sure to get it on the side of the bowl. So it was very tasty, and I'd make it again, although I would say I favored the peanut butter chocolate one. And then I had to put under the broiler, which is a little complicated in my oven. It would be nice to have one of those torches.
Torch, yeah.
I think I might want to get one of those, just who knows what else. Anyway.
Does Kurt like lemons? Is he a big lemon fan?
He likes it. Not like I'm a huge lemon fan, but he loves lemon meringue pie. So I just thought it would be a good thing to share with him. So, and it was yummy. We had it in an igloo. So, well, I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Recipe Share. Be sure to click the link below on the event page, or go to the event page at aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about and share your own in the comments. Join us next time when we'll be sharing recipes for finger foods. We're looking forward to seeing what you've been making. So thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, share a little recipe